Hey everyone, how's it going? Welcome to the NoDQ.com live recap of AEW Dynamite for October the 6th, 2021. This was the AEW Dynamite 2-year anniversary show, and we wasted no time getting right to the action. We kicked off the show with an 8-man tag team match. No introductions. We just got right to the action, the ring announcements, and then we had the match. We had the Super Elite, which is Kenny Omega, the world champion, the Young Bucks, and Adam Cole, baby, up against Bryan Danielson, Christian Cage, and the Jurassic Express. Really good match here to kick off the show, although there were a few mishaps. We'll get to one of those in a few moments here. Jungle Boy and Christian Cage started off strong, tagging in and out. And eventually, the Super Elite got the upper hand, worked on Jungle Boy for a while. He eventually tagged in Bryan Danielson. Bryan was doing the yes kicks and then the chops to get the crowd going woo. Luchasaurus then tagged in. Big reaction from the crowd, doing all the cool stuff that he does. Everyone on the good guys' side took turns taking down Nick Jackson in the corner. And that's when we started having the interference from Nakazawa and Brandon Cutler on the outside of the ring. They attacked Christian, and that led to the Bucks hitting the Indie Taker to Christian on the floor. The doctor came down to check on Christian. Christian was taken out of the match due to this, so it became a handicap match. And the Young Bucks super kicked Marco Stunt for good measure. Elite had the upper hand for a while, and they even did the little spot where the Bucks kiss Adam Cole. They were feeling confident. They were feeling good. And as soon as the good guys started to make a comeback, Nakazawa and Cutler got involved again. Eventually, Bryan got the hot tag. He went at it with Kenny Omega. They traded blows. Things started to break down. Luchasaurus came in, cleaned house, and everyone pretty much took turns hitting dives. Omega did one. Cole did one, but then did a fake out and did Bebe instead. Did the Bebe taunt. And then he hit a low blow to Luchasaurus. And this is where it kind of got a little screwed up here. Everybody on the Elite team was going for a four-way sit-down power bomb. But let's just say Omega fell on his ass before he could deliver the move. They continued to go after Jungle Boy. And Cole hit the Panama Sunrise. Bryan broke that up, but he got overwhelmed. The numbers game was not working in their favor. And then there was a four-way BTE trigger to Jungle Boy, and Adam Cole scored the win. Big victory for the Super Elite. And they have new music, which is way better. I've been telling you guys for the longest time, I've never liked that Elite song that they come out to, so I'm glad they changed that up. If this is the new song for the group, I think this one is way better. Really good match other than that one botch and a few moments where it was a little out of control, but overall, very good match to kick off the show. Lots of fast pace, hard-hitting action with these guys. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. I appreciate it. He says, don't watch Impact, but is Christian defending the belt over there because him being champion seems to be second fiddle? Is he in a feud on Impact? Yeah, he is doing matches in Impact. He is the Impact World Champion. He will be defending the title coming up at Bound for Glory. So yeah, he's doing stuff there. And Christopher Daniels actually just returned to Impact Wrestling. He's doing stuff there. Unfortunately, Impact is kind of a distant third, if you want to call them third at this point. Maybe fourth. Depends on what your criteria is. But yeah, not a whole lot of buzz about Impact these days, even though they do have some AEW guys working there. We had Jon Moxley cutting a promo, hyping up the main event, the Casino Ladder match, with the winner getting an AEW championship opportunity. Moxley said he's not the biggest fan of ladder matches, but he's going to get weird and stupid with the ladders. We then had CM Punk come down to the ring for a promo. Before he got in the ring, he did his now trademark stage dive. Roman Reigns puts a mask on when he goes in the crowd, and CM Punk, well, he has no regard for the COVID stuff. He just jumps in there, gets in there with the fans. And he said that by this point he thought people would be tired of him, but they were not. They were cheering him. He said he's glad to be back. He appreciates the love fest. And he talked about Philadelphia. He said he would either buy everyone Philly cheesesteaks. I think he said cheesecakes at first. But yeah, of course, Philly cheesesteaks. That's a thing in Philadelphia. That's what they're known for. And he said he would buy everybody cheesesteaks or he would wrestle. Crowd wanted him to wrestle. You know, people can go buy a cheesesteak anytime. Can only see CM Punk wrestle every now and then, though. And then he announced that he was going to fight Daniel Garcia on Rampage. Of course, they're taping Rampage as we speak right now for this Friday, and he'll be facing Daniel Garcia. I know people just love to see CM Punk wrestle, but I'm ready for something else. I'm ready for CM Punk and not Hook. I want to see CM Punk against like an MJF or CM Punk against a top tier heel like a Ricky Starks even. I don't want to see CM Punk against the enhancement guys. Like, I get it. He's trying to work with the younger talent, but I want to see CM Punk mix it up with the big names. And, you know, they're probably saving those matches for the pay-per-views. That's fine. CM Punk and MJF is the one I'm really looking forward to, though. Of all the possibilities, even Kenny Omega, MJF and Punk, I'm really looking forward to those promos with those guys. But of course, MJF has a storyline going on with Darby Allin, and we'll get to that in a few moments here. We had some segment with Arn Anderson outside of Cody Rhodes' house. Arn Anderson set up a fire pit, and he wanted Cody to throw his suit in the fire, and Cody was against doing this. You know, Cody likes to wear his suits, and Arn said, maybe you should paint a star on your face and everything will be cool. Ouch. Arn Anderson is just, you know, he's firing. He made that gun reference last week, and he slapped Cody, and Cody finally took his tie off and threw the tie in the fire. We had a video package for Bobby Fish, former WWE NXT star, of course, part of the Undisputed Era. And he had a match with the new TNT champion, Sammy Guevara. Before the match, we found out that Sammy got Fuego del Sol a new truck. What a nice guy. And interestingly enough, the commentary, they brought up Fish in Japan. They didn't really say anything about WWE. They talked about Bobby Fish having an MMA background and wrestling in Japan and all that stuff. I thought that was kind of interesting. No reference to WWE, which is fine, you know. That's going against what is typically done, and maybe that's a good thing. So good back and forth match here with these guys, and Fish came close on a couple of occasions. He hit an avalanche Falcon Arrow. Sammy kicked out of that. He hit an exploder into the corner. Sammy also kicked out of that, and then Sammy recovered, hit the GTH, and picked up the win. After the match was over, Dan Lambert's crew, the America Top Team, arrived, and they attacked Sammy Guevara. Fuego tried to make the save, but to no avail. And then that's when Chris Jericho's music hit, pyro and all. Jericho and Jake Hager ran down to make the save. And Jericho's music, Judas, was playing the entire time. And right when it got to the chorus, Lambert cut it off, told them to stop the music. And this was great. The timing of this was really well done to get that heat. And boy, oh boy, like they were hating on Lambert. I'm sure Virtue is quite proud of this segment. The crowd still sang the chorus, and Lambert was telling them to hurry it up. And man, they were just, he got some of the most heat of anybody on any show in quite some time. I would say since the return of fans. Like, he was getting a ton of heat for this segment, and he issued a challenge, a 6-man tag match for Miami, which of course is where this all started with Lambert back in the beginning of July when AEW went back on the road. And Jericho accepted the challenge. It's going to be the Men of the Year, and Junior Dos Santos, the former UFC champion, is going to wrestle against Jericho, Hager, and Sammy Guevara. And Jericho said they're going to beat the living shit out of him. Jericho loves his shit. Joey Perez wants to see Dan Severn in the group. That'd be interesting. That would definitely be a blast from the past. Dylan Hensley sent in a $5 super chat. Thank you, Dylan. I hope you're doing well. He says, people complain that there's no reason to watch Rampage, but when they put stars on that show, people still complain that it's a waste to put it on Rampage. I really don't have a problem with what matches they put on. See, here's my thing when it comes to Rampage. It's a bad time slot. It's after SmackDown. It's a third hour. It's kind of tough for them, but it is good for giving some of the other guys exposure. My biggest issue is that it's taped most weeks. And to me, it's skippable in that regard. When I already know what's going to happen, I don't feel a necessity or an urgency to watch it. Now, I might be the minority on it, although their numbers are dropping a bit. You know, they're down to the low 600,000s, which is still very good for that time slot. But, you know, CM Punk came out. They did over 1 million for that episode, and, you know, they haven't really come close to that since. It's just not a good time slot. You know, I was kind of hoping that maybe they would get a better time slot than 10 o'clock, just so more people might tune in and they could maybe do some shows live. But we'll see what they do. Maybe things will change in the coming months. Walter Cruz with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Walter. Says, I understand kayfabe and all, but we're supposed to believe anybody besides Hager can beat former UFC champs in real life. They would get their asses kicked. Well, you have to keep in mind, I mean, yeah, in real life, it's not gonna happen. I mean, the wrestlers would not be able to beat up the UFC guys in real life, but of course, in the world of wrestling, it's different. And also, you could say that, you know, Junior Dos Santos and those other guys from MMA that come in, you know, that this is not their realm, so they're gonna struggle against the guys that have been wrestling all the time. Rax says, thanks for the spoiler in the title. Not a spoiler if it has already aired, so, you know, don't know what to tell you on that one. We had the Acclaimed doing a little rap backstage about the Lucha Brothers, and they're going to face them for the tag team titles coming up on Rampage. And then we had Tony Khan's big announcement that, well, it wasn't from Tony Khan. It was from Tony Khan, but Tony Schiavone delivered the announcement with Aubrey Edwards in the ring. And there was a championship that was covered up. So we all kind of knew where this was going. It was rumored for a while. It's basically the women's secondary title. You know, just like the TNT title is the secondary men's title, we have the TBS title, which will be the secondary title for the women's division. I'm fine with it. I really have no issues with it. I do think there are too many titles. But hey, you know, they're going to be on TBS, and you got a TNT title, you got a TBS title. It's cool. I really have no issues with it. I think it's a better choice than doing like a women's tag team titles. I mean, I think they would do a better job than WWE with that, but it's cool. And I like the title design. I actually think it's a better title design than the actual AEW Women's Championship, quite frankly. Joey Perez likes the title, the blue color. MVP Kev likes the title look. I'm definitely a fan of the design of it. And Dylan says he's surprised they introduced the TBS title before the rumored Trios titles. Well, who knows if they're even doing the Trios titles? I know it's been rumored, but not as strongly rumored as this TBS title was. I still hope they do it. If they're going to add any more titles, which, I would not be upset if they never introduced another title. But if they do, I think a Trios title would be nice. You got a lot of Trios groups, and you could definitely make that work. We had the Dark Order backstage. They're having a democracy now. Evil Uno's not like the dictator anymore. They're working together. They're voting as a family, yada, yada, yada. We had Tony Schiavone chatting with Dante Martin in the ring, and Dante brought up how he's not only being competitive with people, but he actually gave Kenny Omega a run for his money, and he said he will fight anybody. Lights went out, and when they came back on, Malachi Black, excuse me, I'm still calling him Alistair. Malachi Black showed up. He spit some mist in the face of Dante and gave him a black mass and said that the House of Black accepts the challenge. Then we had a Ricky Starks promo talking about the FTW title. And he said he wanted to have a Philly street fight with Brian Cage. Brian Cage showed up. I think he's got new music. Maybe he had it before, but this was the first time I noticed him with new music. He came down to the ring, and Team Taz quickly pulled Ricky Starks to safety. This was actually a really quick segment. Maybe they were rushed, but yeah, this segment went by like in 2 minutes. I mean, it was a very quick segment. We also had a little vignette of several women cutting promos about the title, and later the AEW Women's Champion, Britt Baker, also cut a promo about it, hyping it up. Dylan says it's the same music for Brian Cage, so my bad. We had Hikaru Shida going for her 50th win in AEW, but her opponent was no small task. It was Serena Deeb. And they even had a little trophy out there for Shida if she won the match. Shida was going to use the steel chair on the outside to jump off of it like she does. And Deeb was able to grab the chair, tossed it back under the ring. And JR even said on commentary that maybe Shida is getting a little too predictable with her moves. Shida hit her knee strike, but Deeb rolled to the outside of the ring, basically got knocked to the outside, and Deeb was thrown back in the ring, but then Deeb hit a chop block to Shida, hit a swinging neck breaker. Shida kicked out of that. Deeb went for another chop block, but missed, and then Shida hit a Falcon Arrow. Deeb kicked out of that. Deeb starting to get dirty, raked the eyes, hit the detox, but Shida kicked out of that. Then Deeb put on the Serenity Lock, and Shida tapped out. Yes, she tapped out. Did not win her 50th match. Shida, I was liking this finish because I think with the award out there, like it kind of felt too obvious. So I was kind of hoping she would lose just to throw everybody off. And she did end up losing. She tapped out, and she can always pick up her 50th victory another time. Deeb grabbed the award and hit Shida over the head with it. So good stuff here. I liked it. I liked that they did the little swerve and didn't go with the obvious outcome of Shida getting the 50th win. Dylan Hensley with a $2 super chat. Thank you, Dylan. I appreciate it. Says, Deeb is underrated. Glad she turned heel. Yeah, I think she's great, and I'm glad she picked up a big win here. Marcus the Entertainer thinks she would be a good choice for the first TBS champion. I'm with you on that one. I think she would be a great choice. I still think Thunder Rosa, she was part of the video package hyping up the TBS title. I think that Thunder Rosa should be winning the world title from Britt Baker at some point. Meanwhile, Deeb can win the TBS championship. That is something that I would like to see. I think those two should be the future title holders, in my opinion. But Sheeta might get a rematch with Deeb and might end up picking up her 50th victory against her, or maybe somebody else. But yeah, I liked the little swerve they did here. By the way, this match was in the standard 9:15 to 9:30 spot, and there was a funny sign in the crowd that said "second women's match?" ? That was a good sign. I agree with that sign. Where's the second women's match? Speaking of women's wrestling, the Women of Wrestling promotion has relaunched. Tessa Blanchard is going to be part of that, and AJ Lee is the executive producer. More info on that over at NoDQ.com, by the way. Darby Allin was backstage, and then a limousine arrived, and he was jumped from behind by several masked men. And it became pretty obvious who they were. Even though they were masked, they were showing the mannerisms of the Pinnacle. One of them, probably Wardlow, gave an F10 to Darby on the guardrails that were laid up on the outside. And then MJF was getting on a skateboard. Again, all these guys were masked, but the idea was that it was the Pinnacle wearing disguises for some reason. We had a Leo Rush promo, and Leo Rush was talking about Dante Martin and saying that if Martin needs some advice, give him a holler, give him a call. We then had our main event of the evening, the Casino Ladder match. Winner gets a future AEW World Championship opportunity. Before we get to that real quick, Tony H with a $5 super chat. Thank you, Tony. Says, Serena Deeb winning was good booking. That's how you do a good swerve that looked obvious. Also, Cowboy Adam Page versus Kenny Omega at Full Gear, please and thank you. I agree with you about that, Tony H, on everything you said there. Now, let's talk about the ladder match. We had Orange Cassidy with one of those Philadelphia mascots coming out for his entrance. It started off with Cassidy and Pac. Two of them have history, of course, going back to Revolution in 2020. Cassidy was doing his usual mind games with the kicks and everything, hands in the pockets. Andrade was the next entrant, and Pac tried to climb up the ladder. Andrade did a sunset flip powerbomb, first big holy shit moment of the match. Orange Cassidy was doing his kicks to Andrade. Andrade chopped him. Matt Hardy came out next, veteran of the ladder matches. And then we had Lance Archer come to the ring, started taking out everybody. Then it was Jon Moxley. Him and Archer started brawling in the crowd. And everyone was pretty much out of commission at this point. Pac was going to attempt a Black Arrow off the ladder, but Andrade stopped him. And then we had the final entrant of the match, who was in fact Hangman Adam Page. Page ran down to the ring, cleaned house. So, like I was saying, you had Andrade, who was knocked off the apron. Adam Page climbed up this ladder and hit Pac with a super deadeye through a table that was laid out. Big holy shit moment there from the fans. And then Moxley hit a paradigm shift to Page. Hardy did a leg drop off a ladder onto Orange Cassidy through a table. Another big pop for that. And then it came down to Moxley and Page. They both climbed up the ladder. Paige knocked off Moxley, grabbed the casino chip, giving himself the win. Big reaction from the crowd, of course. And now Paige gets his opportunity at Kenny Omega. He can name the place and the date. And going back to Tony H's super chat, I think you got to do it at Full Gear, and I think this has got to be the title change. I know they've been teasing Bryan versus Omega in a rematch, but going back months ago, I was saying Paige should be the guy to beat Omega. You got to make that homegrown star. You got to try to make that next big star that's going to carry the company for years to come. And I think Paige is the guy you got to go with. If you heard the reaction to him on this show, like, this is the guy. Like, the people just universally love him. And, he's a homegrown star. He's not a former WWE guy. And J. Los Overall 87 says the chip should be used as a Money in the Bank briefcase. Well, I think the idea is that it's just a guaranteed title match whenever you want it, and you can just pick your match whenever you want to do it. I mean, it's kind of like that. Dylan Hensley with a $2 super chat says, finally, Paige versus Omega, long-term booking at work. Well, I hope so. I hope they're going to go with it and they're going to pull the trigger with Paige. We shall see, but, I mean, he seems to be the obvious candidate to beat Omega. Walter Cruz with a $2 super chat says, what are Paige's chances of winning the belt, 1 to 10? I would say they're very good because I think I have confidence in Tony Khan that he knows what he's doing, and Paige is the guy that they're going to go with. So I'm going to say a solid 9 that he'll win the title. Bryan doesn't need it. Bryan just doesn't need it. So overall, great show. Great 2-year anniversary show for AEW. I give it an A-. Very strong show. Strong start, strong finish. Lots of really solid segments in between. Big thumbs up for this one. Another entertaining 2 hours from AEW. Let's see the chat. The poll I put up. 63% give AEW Dynamite an A, 27% a B, 5% C, and 5% D. There you go. Overwhelming positive reactions to AEW. Life of Beto says solid A. Nick Lavin A-. Mike B, B+. Joey Perez says I'm between B+ and A+. So he's somewhere in that A range. Lashin Davis with an A-. Calvin Bowman with an A+. And the Lucha Libre Gaming guy gives it a B+ as well. Hamp Kano with a $5 super chat. I'm shaking my head. You guys will know why in a second here. He says, the thing could really build up Omega and Paige is a contract signing. You got jokes, Hamp. I'll give you that. You got a good sense of humor. Thank you for that super chat. I appreciate it, Hamp. But seriously, though, we don't need a contract signing. And that was AEW Dynamite, everyone. Stay tuned to NoDQ.com for the very latest regarding AEW as we start the build towards Full Gear. We got WWE Crown Jewel coming up, No DQ review, lots of stuff to talk about. NoDQ.com will keep you updated. And if you enjoy this video, please give it a like, tell a friend, spread the word, and I will see you guys next time.